Originally, I was going to review Reanimated, but a certain animation critic brought up a special little thing on his channel. Guestsheaux introduced to the internet a new segment called Guestsheaux. If you don't know what that is, it's basically him bringing in other YouTubers to review a certain subject. That being today's topic of discussion, Alpha and Omega. It was created by a company called Crest Animation, who joined forces with Splash Entertainment a while back. You may know them for their gift, Normative North. Okay, from what I've heard, Guestsheaux created this when a certain deviant, whose name I will not mention, was talking smack to both him and Raven Fox. After when people started rising to the challenge, Guestsheaux decided to make this into a segment. Now, looking back on all of this, I gotta wonder, is there really anything good in this franchise? Or is it just a bunch of childish fans trying to push some kind of an agenda? We won't find out without looking at it, so let's begin. Let's start off with the basics. The animation. The animation seems alright in the first one. The animation of the characters look decent enough. The background scenes, like in the first movie, look alright. However, the quality went down more and more as more sequels were made. Another thing I have to mention is what Guestsheaux brought up in his Alpha and Omega reviews. There are some occasions where the animation seems off. Mostly character animations not keeping in sync, like the characters running in the Great Wolf games. Sometimes even scenes where either the background or even characters don't look right. Even characters popping up in scenes when they really shouldn't. Even if this was a glitch or was not noticed, it could have been an easy fix. However, some things cannot be fixed so easily. A good example being some human characters, or even occasions where certain characters have different textures. Now, before I go any further, I want to mention this. A fellow animation critic, Animateball, brought up the animation pipeline, and how there are teams that work on a certain part of a project. Making animation isn't an easy feat. Take it from me, I've been working on this model for a very long time. Speaking of models, let's look at a certain type of model. The model of the wolf pups do look a bit odd. I get that the guys behind these movies might not have had the ability to make a great model of younger wolves. On top of that, they never seem to make the wolf pups age. I get that it would be a real pain to model a character with a different age, and I can respect that. But throughout the series, they never had a single character grow. The only time they did age was in the first movie. If they had a technique similar to that of Pixar's when they made The Incredibles, it could have shown they have put more effort into their works. Something that the Alpha and Omega fans should take notice. Oh wait, I forgot. Okay, so I rambled on about the animation. So what about the stories and the characters? Well, they don't help either. The plot of the first movie was about breaking down the walls society built around you. And the second one was a Christmas special. The third was just a sports-themed movie. The fourth one was a Halloween special, a road trip movie, and lastly a movie about dinosaurs. Each movie lacking less creativity than the last. Now, I can't really say much about the stories due to not seeing the movies in their entirety, but looking back on Guesshaux's reviews, I think they're just that. Just bare-bones stories with little to nothing new brought to the table. However, the first movie seemed to have a structure that made it feel like a movie. Sure, it was a generic romance adventure movie, but it did have something that made me want to watch it to the end. Now let's move on to the characters, starting with Kate and Humphrey. Kate is, or was, a strong and developed character, who looked out for others and did her best to help her pack. However, in the sequels, they took all of that away and make her the worrying mother type of character. They did this with so many characters, like Mavis from Hotel Transylvania or Janine from Ghostbusters. I swear, it's getting to me. How many characters do lame brains out there have to tamper with until we have enough mother-like characters? Humphrey is the Omega that is supposed to keep the pack's spirits up in the first movie. He, in the sequels, tries to be a good parent, and like Kate, would do whatever it takes to keep their pups safe. Oh, and let's talk about their parenting parts. They may try to show to be good parents, but they've lost these kids so many times, it just shows how embarrassing they are as parents. They even make Buck Cluck look like Kratos from the upcoming God of War game. The other characters just seem one-dimensional and end up being very generic. While reoccurring characters, like in the first movie, do have some characters in them, like Tony and Winston doing what's best for the packs, the creators never seem to flesh these characters out in the sequels. They also seem to reuse character models way too much. I've seen some human characters coming back again and again, like the biker and librarian, wolf pup models being used to create new characters, and even some old locations. However, there are some characters that I not only enjoy, but I want to be the main focus. There is Lily, Kate's sister. Lily is one of the two characters I love in the first movie. Personality-wise, she is friendly, shy, and fun-loving, and has a totally opposite personality from her sister. Though in the first movie, it was shown that she didn't have much confidence until she met Garth. She and Garth were shown to have a bit of a development rather than Kate and Humphrey. In Alpha and Omega 1, Kate and Humphrey bonded because they needed each other. Lily and Garth, however, bonded in a much more natural way. And it was because they didn't need each other, much like how Guestsheaux explained it in his review.
Why are Lily and Garth together? No reason whatsoever. They're only spending time together simply because they want to. And they're helping each other with no other motivation than just to help each other. Garth wants to help Lily to come out of her shell, and Lily wants to help him get over that last hurdle that'll make him into the ultimate alpha.
Well, even if you don't think that is great, I could say that that would be a lot more better than the story we had in this movie. By the way, I wanted to talk a bit about Garth in this. Garth is an alpha, who they tried to make into an asshole jock character. Oh wait, that's giving him too much credit. They tried to make him seem like those arrogant jocks that would pick on Humphrey, but they never did. In fact, they made him look like the character that I wish was the main focus. He and Lily start growing a bond while Kate and Humphrey are off on their adventures in the first movie, showing that once again, I wish the movie was about these two. He managed to help Lily get out of her shell, and in return, Lily helped him with his howling problem. It makes me wonder, what would the series be like if it was about these two? I guess we'll never know. By the way, they did bring them back, but they did give drastic changes to certain characters, like Lily for example. In the Christmas special, they gave her sort of a bit of a mind of a strategist. Then in the Halloween special, she was a bit of a meteorologist. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, but they never seemed to show any of that in the first movie. We never saw Lily say or do anything that would be out of her character, or at least have any of those characteristics. If another character brought up a theory about the plans for the Rogue Pack in the Christmas special, then maybe it wouldn't be much of a nitpick for me. But just adding new characteristics, like making her a meteorologist and a strategist, would just make the writing seem a bit childish to me. Now let's move on to the kids, starting with Stinky, Quiet, and Runt. Kate and Humphrey's kids are the worst of the bunch. These three have a certain level of arrogance to them. They tend to do whatever they want and manage to make things either worse or have no point of being there in the first place. For example, while two pups are fighting, Stinky gives a suggestion that's nowhere even near being a suggestion.
May I suggest some parenting tips? When I become the leader, I will create a wolf park, so the younger ones can be supervised.
Okay, saying that you're going to be building a wolf park isn't a parenting tip. You're acting like you think you know everything, when in reality, you're just making yourself look like an idiot. They never seem to add anything to the stories in any of the movies. They just added it in so that people would identify the characters more easily. That's the best I could think of for that. Same thing how Humphrey was bad at howling in another movie. Most likely because writers thought it would be funny. But it wasn't. It is just painful to listen to. They walk all over the parents, they do whatever they want and have little disregard to the safety of themselves or others. They show to have a massive overinflated ego, and I would want to kill myself than to watch this franchise if they don't change these characters. Not to mention, their names are just stupid to the point where I would place Kate and Humphrey as the worst parents in animation. Yeah, say what you want about Buck Cluck. He may be a shallow asshole, but at least he had some sort of a change in the end. Mind you, a rather forced change, and was proud of his son when he won a ball game. But it was a lot better than these two. Kate and Humphrey never punished their children when they do anything wrong, making them even more embarrassing as parents. They never got their kids to listen to them in the Christmas special. In the Halloween special, they never punished their son when he left the cave to help a stranger. And when they tried to put them in their places, the kids just walk all over them, knowing that they won't get in trouble. Not only is that just lazy writing, but it can also be dangerous towards kids. If kids saw what they did in the franchise, then they will think it's okay for them to do the same. If there was a hint of punishment, and they got what was coming towards them, then it wouldn't be as bad as it is now. But making characters with traits like arrogance, greed, or even sociopathic in a kids movie or a show proves that they don't care about their audience. Even the fans of this franchise should think about this little bit of detail and open their eyes for once and understand. Yes, it is a cartoon made for kids, but it doesn't excuse them for being lazy, arrogant, or even having little respect towards their audience. Wow. I could see why Bob Show and many others dislike this franchise now. After reviewing everything I can and expressing myself, I learned the truth. Alpha and Omega is a franchise being run by people who have little respect towards their fans, the audience, or even anyone with any brain power. With animation now is alright to mediocre, characters that had some depth to becoming paper thin, and even stories are just as bare boned. If you are a fan of this franchise, then that's fine. Just please don't enforce others to think or do whatever you say or want in an act of silencing others. Now, WWW area, I know how you feel about this, but this is the internet. You just have to get used to it. Believe me when I say I know how you feel about people not liking what you enjoy. Now, before I end this, I want to say that I would love to see what he would come up with in terms of a review for this franchise. It would be rather interesting to see what you could... It would be rather interesting seeing and hearing what you have to say about all of this. As for me, I'm just gonna give it a 4 out of 10. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to prepare myself for the buttload of attacks and copyright infringements. Knowing some people on this website, I might end up getting a strike or two in a desperate attempt to silencing me on my channel. I'm gonna need a vacation from all of this. Arthur Martin, out.